April 19th, 1692. There being complaint made before us on this day by John Putnam Jr. of Salem Village for himself and also for his neighbors against Bridget Bishop, wife of Edward Bishop of Salem, for high suspicion of sundry acts of witchcraft committed upon the bodies of Ann Putnam, Mercy Lewis, Abigail Williams, Mary Walcott, and Elizabeth Hubbard, whereby great hurt and damage hath been done upon the bodies of said persons who crave justice. These are herewith summoned to the house of Lieutenant Nathaniel Ingersoll for their examination relating to this complaint. All rise. All rise for Colonel John Hawthorne.
All ye who have evidence in this case of the people versus Bridget Bishop, bring forth your testimony on this day and you shall be heard. You may be seated. The magistrates would like to thank the members of this assembly for attending this pre-trial examination of Bridget Bishop. Now it is well known that when one undertakes a contract with the devil places upon that person's body a piece of flesh, whereby he in his own person or that of a familiar might suck the blood of a witch. The defendant, Bridget Bishop, has been examined for such unnatural protrusions of flesh. We shall now hear the findings of the examiners.
I, being commanded by Colonel John Hawthorne for to view the bodies of Bridget Bishop, Rebecca Nurse, Elizabeth Proctor, and others, by diligent search have discovered upon these three women an unnatural excrescence of flesh, much like to petite and not usual in women, and that they were in all three women near the same place. Alice Pickering, midwife.
Thank you, Mrs. Pickering. We shall take this discovery of a witch's mark as compelling physical evidence against the defendant, and she shall now be brought forward to make answer to these charges against her. Thank you, Constable. Goody Bishop, what do you say? You stand here charged with sundry acts of witchcraft committed upon the bodies of Ann Putnam, Mercy Lewis, and others.
I am innocent. I know nothing of it. I have done no witchcraft!
You are here accused by 4 or 5 for hurting them. What do you say to it?
I never hurt them in my life. I never did see these persons before. I am innocent as the child unborn.
Is not your coat cut?
My coat.
Jonathan Walcott, brother to one of these that accuses you of hurting her, has said that he struck at your specter with his sword and hit your coat so that he heard it tear.
No, my coat is not cut.
Constable, if you would. Good wife. Would you assist me? Yes. Would you examine the coat of Bridget Bishop for any cuts or tears?
Look till your eyes are sore. You'll not find anything.
That was very quick.
How many cuts would you say?
How many is that?
Several cuts. There's a cut.
I'll take several. Thank you. Very well done. Goody Bishop, your coat is cut in several places.
Perhaps the devil hath used her shape without her knowledge.
It cannot be. She must have given consent to the devil.
Goody Bishop, what contract have you made with the devil?
I have made no contract with the devil. I never saw him in my life. The devil cannot hurt me.
What do you say to all this you are charged with? Can you not find it in your heart to tell us the truth?
I do tell the truth. I never hurt these persons before. I never saw them.
How come these persons to be thus tormented, and to charge you with doing it?
I am not come here to say I am a witch, to take away my life.
Consider not your life, but your soul on the account you must give.
Answer sincerely, and you need fear nothing.
Who is it that doth it if it is not you? Now they say that it is your likeness that comes and torments them and tempts them to write in a book. What book is it you tempt them with?
I know nothing of it. I am innocent.
Have you written this book yourself?
No, I know nothing of it.
If not, tell me how far you have gone in this. Have you not to do with familiar spirits?
I have no familiarity with the devil.
How is it then that your appearance does hurt the afflicted? Have you given consent that an evil spirit should go about in your likeness?
I gave no consent. I am innocent of being a witch. I know not a man, woman, or child here.
Why does she lie so needlessly?
Do you not see how they are tormented? What do you say to it?
It does not trouble me.
Why have you not a heart to confess the truth?
I know nothing of it.
Have you not heard that some have confessed? Today, several who were examined before you confessed that they are witches.
I know nothing of it.
I told her myself not half an hour ago. Have you no fear of hell that you would lie so boldly.
Why, look you. Your neighbor does publicly state you were told of these confessions. It would seem, Goody Bishop, that you have been taken before this entire assembly in a flat lie.
I never heard them.
Goody Bishop, you need not fear to speak the truth. God will not allow the innocent to be condemned.
You will all have a chance to give testimony in due time. For now, the magistrates summon any and all witnesses who may give plain evidence in this case of Bridget Bishop of Salem. Yes, you. You there. Over here. State your name and proceed.
John Louder.
Goodman Louder. We would request that you speak loudly enough so the defendant might hear you.
All right. Thank you. John Louder. I have had a controversy with Bridget Bishop about her poultry, which used to wander over into my garden. Some words were spoken between us, and one evening, after I had gone to bed, I felt this heavy weight upon my breast, so that it woke me. And as God is my witness, I clearly saw Bridget Bishop, or else her specter, sitting on my stomach. She seized me by the throat and began choking me, and stifled me like that almost until daybreak. A few days later, I was in my orchard. She was in her orchard too. It adjoins mine, and I asked her about her appearance in my room. I insisted that she had come into my room and sat on me and choked me, and she denied it, whereupon we began arguing, and she threatened me, and the next day I felt rather ill, so I stayed home from meeting. But while I was resting, this horrible black thing came in through the window and up into my face, and it...
This thing?
Oh, yes, it looked like a monkey, but with rooster's feet and the face of a man.
That was your wife, Goodman.
I see.
All right, well, I was too terrified to speak, but this creature spoke to me, and it said, you must heed, it said, I'm a messenger sent to you, for I understand that you are troubled in mind, and if you will be ruled by me, you will want for nothing in this world. And that seemed to free me somewhat, so I shouted, I will kill you! And I tried to hit it, but when I swung, my hand passed right through it. And then the creature said, once again, you must take my counsel. So I tried to hit it again, this time with a stick. But when I swung the stick hit nothing but the ground sill, which broke the stick, and the arm that I used to swing with was suddenly rendered useless. And then the creature vanished, and I was upset. So I rushed outside, where I saw Bridget Bishop walking away through her orchard. I tried to call out to her, but I could not speak or move forward. So I rushed back inside, where I saw the creature once again. This time it was crouched as if it was prepared to lunge at me. So I cried, "No! The whole armor of God be between us!" And at that, it sprang back through the window, up over the apple tree, flinging up a burst of dust and wind with its feet, so that it shocked me, and I was numb. I could hardly speak for several days.
Pity.
And a good number of apples were shaken off the tree that day as well.
Yes, thank you. Does the defendant wish to respond to the testimony of Goodman Louder?
I don't even know this man.
Goody Bishop, your orchards are adjoined. Do you still insist you do not know him?
She is lying. They have been quarreling for years. He who tells lies shall not continue in my presence, thus saith the Lord.
Thank you, mistress. It is well spoken. Again, Goody Bishop, your neighbors publicly contradict your assertions. You are taken once again before this entire assembly in a flat lie. I would remind the assembly this is an examination only, not a formal trial, and I see Reverend Hale of the Beverly Church has arrived. Welcome, Reverend Hale.
Thank you, Mr. Arthur.
Have you come to bring testimony in this case?
No, I was ministering to those who have already confessed themselves witches. Sarah Churchill, Abigail Hobbs, Mary Warren, who was dumbstruck during her confession. I was particularly grieved, however, to hear that Bridget Bishop was cried out upon, as I did testify on her behalf in a similar case some years ago. Now that you have called me forth, might you give me leave to address this assembly? Thank you. Greetings, good people.
Greetings.
2 days previous was declared an official day of prayer and fasting. So we ask that you remain steadfast in your prayers for Goodwife Bishop, as well as for our entire community. We are praying for you, Goodwife. If you have aught to confess, we pray you do so and be reconciled with your Lord and Maker.
I have nothing to confess.
Bishop, why'd you turn your back on this man of God?
He has turned his back on me.
What mean you?
He's a turncoat and a traitor.
Well, in 1680, Goody Bishop Van Oliver...
I was acquitted of that charge.
Thanks to the testimony of the Reverend Hale. 12 years ago he spoke on your behalf, and yet he does not do so today.
I will be acquitted today as I was then.
I pray you be dismissed, if you be innocent. Good people, we will now hear from Abigail Hobbs, who today confessed to being in league with the devil for 6 years and a tormentor in her apparition. Abigail Hobbs, will you own your confession before Goody Bishop?
I will speak the truth. I have seen sights and been scared. I have been very wicked, but I hope I shall be better if God will help me.
Reverend Hale, would you guide her confession?
As you wish. Abigail Hobbs, what sights have you seen?
I have seen the devil.
And what appearance was he in?
Like a tawny man.
What did he say to you?
He said he would give me fine clothes if I did what he would have me.
What would he have you do?
He would have me be a witch.
Did you make a covenant with him?
Yes, but I hope God will forgive me.
Are you not bid to hurt people?
Yes.
Who are you bid to hurt?
Mercy Lewis and Ann Putnam.
And what do you do to them when you hurt them?
I pinch them.
How do you pinch them? Do you go in your own person to them?
No.
Doth the devil go for you?
Yes.
And what doth he take? Your spirit with him?
No. I am as at other times, but the devil has my consent and goes and hurts them. I myself never attended any of the great witch meetings in the village.
Lord, give you repentance.
Abigail Hobbs, what have you done in your appearance or specter since last we spoke?
Nothing at all.
Have you not been tempted?
Yes, sir, but I have not done it, nor will not do it.
Tell us the truth. Who tempted you this time?
It was Goody Bishop. She would have me set my hand to the book, but I would not, nor did I consent to hurt the children again.
Good people, before you now stand a minister of the gospel and a confessing witch. Beside them is Bridget Bishop, whose spiritual allegiance lies with one or the other. Abigail Hobbs, you may sit. Goodwife Bishop, what do you say to the charges of Abigail Hobbs?
Nothing. That girl is insane. I am innocent of being a witch. I do not know any of these people. I never was in this village before.
What think you of the children, then? Are they or are they not bewitched?
I cannot tell you what to think about the children, but I did not hurt the children. I never hurt anyone. These accusations, they are false.
Very well. Mayhaps we will give you a chance to redeem yourself. Reverend Hale, would you kindly explain to this assembly our beliefs concerning the Lord's... You are a Quaker.
I am?
Does what you have to say bear on this examination?
It does.
We will hear this final witness. State your name and proceed.
Sarah Shattuck, our eldest child, who promised much in understanding, both by countenance and action, was taken in a very drooping condition. And as Goody Bishop came oftener to our house, his condition grew worse and worse. Some months after the first of this illness, there came a stranger to our home who pitied this child and said, among other words, "Your child is bewitched." He said, "You have a neighbor that is a witch." I told him we had no neighbors, but what were good and honest folk. He said, "You have a neighbor who has had a falling out with you, and who thinks you are a proud woman. She would bring down your pride in this child." I told him there was such a woman as he spoke of, and he asked where she lived, for he would go and see her. Away he went, and I sent my boy. A short time after, both returned, and my boy's face was bleeding. They told me Goody Bishop had come to the door and bid them get out, and then took up a spade and made them go out. And she followed them, and when she came without the porch, she saw my boy, and ran to him and scratched his face and made it bleed, crying, "What, thou rogue? Dost thou bring this fellow here to plague me?" And ever since my Samuel hath been followed with grievous fits, as if he would never recover. His head and eyes are drawn aside as if they would never come aright. He lies as if he were dead. Falls anywhere into fire or water if he be not constantly looked to, that I cannot but judge that he is bewitched. As it has been the judgment of doctors that he is under the evil hand of witchcraft. And by these circumstances, I do believe that Bridget Bishop is the cause of it.
Sarah Shattuck, your child was distracted long before I scratched him. It was an accident. I don't know your child.
Sit! Sarah Shattuck, we all grieve for your boy, but we cannot allow this assembly to degenerate into a mob. Bridget Bishop, let me emphasize for you that you are brought before authority and this assembly not to agitate, but to make an account of what witchcrafts you are conversant in.
I take all these people to witness that I am clear.
What do you say to these charges of murder before us?
I hope I am not guilty of murder. I am innocent.
They say you bewitched your first husband to death, Goody Bishop.
If it please your worship, he were my second husband, and I know nothing of it. I know not if there be any witches or no.
So you have maintained. And yet, you know that you are not one. Good people, I would ask you to keep in mind that this is an examination only. This is not a formal trial. Our duty here today, yours as well as mine, is to carefully consider whether we should hold Goodwife Bishop for a formal trial on the charge of witchcraft. In a few moments, I will take accounting of this assembly towards that end, but before that point, I would like to extend to you, the assembly, the opportunity to ask questions of any of these witnesses who have testified so far. Now, the witnesses we have heard from are Alice Pickering, our midwife, John Louder, the neighbor of Goodwife Bishop, the Reverend Hale, if you would indulge us, as well as Abigail Hobbs, the confessing witch, and the Quaker Sarah Shattuck. If you have any questions or anything that requires clarification from these witnesses or the defendant or myself, you may ask your questions now by the raising of your hands. Are there any questions? Yes, you, Goodman.
Need we be worried about having apples from Bridget's orchard? Might they also have been grown with witchcraft?
Until we solve this, I wouldn't eat any of them, for sure. Don't throw them away if you have them, but, you know, I wouldn't buy any more. Just until we know. That's a good point. Yes?
For Sarah, is her son living, and how many times did Bridget approach him?
My son is now 14 years old. This did happen 11 years ago, and he was only about 3, a little more than a foot high at the time. I do not know why she would wish to attack such a small boy who posed no threat to her.
Sarah, it was an accident, I swear.
Bridget?
And the second half of your question. Goody Bishop often did business with our family. We are dyers of cloth, and she would often bring small pieces of fabric to me, what seemed refuse. Although we did our part, we dyed them, and we took the money for it. And the more often she showed up to our house, the more often my son was taken with these fits, almost lining up exactly with her approach. And it wasn't until the event of scratching that I described that they took a turn for much worse. He has not recovered one day since. I'm sorry to say. Thank you.
Any other questions from the assembly? Anyone else before I come back to you, but I will. All right, no, you've got the floor.
Whose land are you going to try to take next?
All right, that's a loaded question, don't you
Question,
think?
Goodman.
Goody Bishop, do you own any land?
I do not, no.
All right, well, not hers, seemingly. Yes.
Is John Louder looking to acquire her land by any chance?
Can we have John Louder? Thank you. I mean, as we have established, Goodwife Bishop does not actually own